Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soul Seekers podcast, where we believe that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure as we share our mission of mentorship is conservation. To learn more about everything we do, check out our show on Carbon TV or go to soulseekersnation.com. Freedom on, everybody, and stay soulful. If you want to take your shooting experience to the next level, then check out Coltac gear for 100% made in America products. Coltac manufactures specialty gear designed for long-range shooting, hunting, and other tactical applications. From their support bags, suppressor covers, shooting mats, and a whole lot more, Coltac is creating tough, durable, and innovative gear for both civilian and professional markets. Go to coltac.com to see all that they have to offer. That's cole-tac.com. If you are looking to get a new rifle or build your own, look no further than Kelbly'S. Kelbly'S actions and rifles have a higher level of accuracy and hold 92 world records set on either one of their rifles or rifle actions. Whether you're looking for an ultralight mountain rifle or wanting to compete in precision rifle shooting, Kelbly'S has you covered. Go to kelbly.com to find out more or give them a call as their customer service is the best. That's KELBLY.com. Kelbly'S. If you're looking to take your hunting to another level, there's no better way to do it than by subscribing to onX Hunt. If you want to get better at hunting and go deeper into your scouting, onX is the #1 GPS app for that. Join the millions of hunters who trust onX Hunt to find more game, discover new access, and hunt smarter. If you want to know more about onX, go to onxmaps.com/hunt or download their app today for a free trial. If you are wanting to become more accurate and deadly with your shooting, one of the best things you can do is upgrade your trigger with a Timney. Timney triggers are 100% made in America and have been since their founding, providing a crisp, reliable, and repeatable trigger break every time. I'll be shooting Timney triggers in my guns this year, and I hope you'll join me in shooting the world's finest trigger. Go to timneytriggers.com to get yours today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack, and today's episode is dedicated to all of you who have ever wanted to go hunt Texas, who've ever wanted to learn all about everything that there is to know about Texas hunting, the exotics, the whitetails, the hogs, the whatever it is. It flies, it dies, it's brown, it's down, it's whatever. We got today the host of the Tejas Hunt Club podcast, Brandon McDow. He's an awesome guy, great person in the industry, great person to just connect with and build a relationship and community. He's on here talking all things hunting, all things Texas, and so much more. Brother, it's great to have you on the show, man.
Well, I appreciate you having me on tonight, man. It's been, like you said, a long time coming for us to finally do this podcast.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago we ran into each other at DSC.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, Brandon,
yeah,
I've been following you on social media for quite some time. You know, like we need to line up a podcast and chat it up. And, you know, two years later, here you are.
Yeah, here we are. It's kind of like that. Like, especially for people that are in the industry and doing different stuff. It's like, it's funny when people are like trying to send me like, hey man, do you want to go do this in like 3 weeks? Or like, what about next weekend? I'm like, man, I've had next weekend booked and planned out for 3 months now. I mean, ever since my wife and I own our media company, that's kind of how it's been. Like we try to plan at least 3 months ahead. Cause if not, it's, we leave in gaps for stuff, obviously, and even for staying home a weekend or two. But like, other than that, like we're looking far out ahead for sure to put it on the calendar.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So just a little history on yourself is you run a podcast and you have social medias, all that, but you have a media company as well, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So, my wife is the spur of that. She's a pretty good photographer, I'd say. And I'm not just sucking up, I promise. But she's been shooting photography since high school. And when we were in college, we were both in college. She went to had graduated from A&M, and I was still going to school at Sam Houston State. She wanted a little something extra to do outside of, sitting in an office. And we had a bunch of buddies that team roped there around College Station where we were living. And we had an arena like right down the road from our house. So she started taking photos and stuff there. Getting into like the rodeo game and a lot of calf ropings and team ropings, and she shot some PBRs and stuff like that. But around that same time, I was finishing school at Sam Houston State, and my degree's in agricultural engineering and technology. And then I got a minor in marketing. So I had to write a paper on emerging technology in agriculture, and I wrote it on drones. And I thought it was like the coolest thing in the world about like all the different stuff that you could do with drones. And this was like around 2017. So a lot of the technology was still like building and getting better and stuff. Well, after learning all about that and writing this paper to graduate, I decided to get my drone license. I was flying real estate, doing photos and videos and that. And then we kind of merged the two companies. Mine was Bar MC Drone Services and hers was Simply Photography by Megan. And then we combined them together and made us start our own business, and it turned into Bar MC Media. So we started out in rodeo, real estate, and then kind of morphed into doing outdoor stuff because we both like hunting and fishing. She grew up more fishing than hunting. And then I grew up in South Texas. I grew up in Goliad. So we're 45 minutes from saltwater, and then to the southeast, I guess, down to Corpus and Rockport and all that kind of stuff. And then out to the west, I mean, it was big deer country and Freer and the whole South Texas brush that everybody talks about. So it was a pretty cool place to grow up, man. Although I had to see a lot of deer, a lot of turkeys, a lot of animals. I mean, I grew up, FFA, 4-H, all that stuff. So we were outside all the time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that got started.
I love that. Were you taught outdoors stuff from your family? Or
No, not actually. I'm the only person in my family that hunts, fishes, does anything like that. The rodeo, all the cow, like all that. My grandpa, when he was alive, he had cows and stuff, and my family's been in the ranching, farming lifestyle since 1800s. It's been like documented around Goliad County and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool about like my family being there. But we had cattle and stuff. But when he passed away, you know how it goes, family, nobody not really into it. It kind of gets sold off and all that kind of stuff. But luckily enough, I grew up with him. So I think I was like 5, 6. So I still have memories of like going to feed cows with him. Like I have memories of him coming, picking me up from school and like doing all that kind of stuff. And then of course, like the community that I grew up in, it's like hunting, fishing, rodeo. Like there's so many people that came from my area that like made money and are pretty good ropers and barrel racers and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like, it's either if you're not in it, it's because you're actively choosing not to be in it kind of deal.
Yeah.
So everybody had an uncle that got it or something down there because there's a bunch of ranches around Goliad where I grew up. I mean, the Wexford Ranch, which is run by Kai Bookert, has been on a bunch of different hunting TV shows and everything like that. And his wife was a substitute teacher at school. So she would show us pictures like during the day of like Kai, the bucks they shot or anything like that and all that kind of stuff. So it's like I said, if you weren't in it, you had to actively be choosing not to be in it.
I love that. That's one of the coolest things about Texas is that it's ingrained in the culture. And I think that's
Yeah.
probably a lot of the whole Midwest whitetail type style hunting is it is just culture of where you're at. Right.
Yeah.
But being from the state of Washington and, Western big game, public land hunting
Yeah.
and liberal politics and, those don't go together very well. Right.
No.
The concept of public lands is more of a liberal concept, right? Like we're all owning it, socialism type aspect, which I love the fact that we have public land and I support for it. But it's such an interesting dynamic because you don't get a culture of hunting. You don't have there's a culture of outdoors, but it's more like REI branded. Right, like hiking,
camping, that kind of stuff.
Snowboarding, backpacking, and so when you say, "Oh, I'm an outdoorsman," most people will place you in the box of granola, right? Like Birkenstocks, Teva sandals, Arc'teryx clothing. Like, got my North Face on, and obviously I'm being very narrow-minded and kind of just throwing out my perspective of how it's viewed. This can differ from a lot of people, but it was really interesting. Like when I got into hunting, so at 30 years old, I took a hunter safety course.
Okay.
When I was, let's see here, 30, 34, I killed my very first big game animal. It took me 4 years to finally notch a tag, and that was
Yeah.
on a black bear. Well, with that being said, I ended up going on an elk hunt, having a successful elk hunt, and I was a school teacher in the state of Washington, and so we'd bring different departments. So I was a PE. Down here in Texas, we call them coaches, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
a coach is a profession.
Yep.
You are a coach, not a teacher first. It's really interesting. Anyways, I was a PE teacher and I coached,
Yeah.
ironically. So my department was responsible for providing lunch one day for the entire staff. It's like, perfect. Let's do tacos. I got a bunch of ground meat that I would love to cook up and serve tacos. Well, word got out that it was elk. And let me tell you, I came home with a lot of elk taco meat because people were afraid to touch it and didn't want to eat it.
Really.
And that was my very first aha moment of like, wow, I am so naive to how people view hunting. Here I am just happy to share the meat that is free that I'm giving, that
Yeah.
I went through my blood, sweat, and tears to get this, bring it off a mountain, cook it, provide it for you, and it's getting hated on. Shade is being thrown. And I was like, wow. That was like my slap in the face moment. To shifting gears, 3 years ago, I moved to Texas and I'm sitting getting my hair cut. And the hairdresser in the chair next to me is talking to her other hairdresser lady who didn't even have clients at the time. They're talking about deer and eating deer meat, venison, and all
Yeah.
this stuff. I'm like, this is great. This is
Yeah, yeah,
like,
it's completely different down here. Now, of course, you'll find pockets of people probably closer to Austin and Dallas and Houston and the bigger cities that don't do that. But as far as like getting outside of those city limits, I mean, backstrap is backstrap, like fried backstrap and gravy, macaroni and cheese, or mashed potatoes and green beans or peas, like that meal, any those combinations of that is like a staple with my like with growing up with my friends' parents. My mom, of course, like we didn't have wild game, but like going to my friend's house, like that was a meal that I was like, oh, I'm definitely going over to
yeah,
Corey and Cody's house, or I'm definitely going over to Chris's house because I know they're making backstrap today. Or like even my buddy Justin back then, like we would all like, hey, my mom's cooking backstrap today, or like tenderloins or something, and we're all coming over to eat. And like ground meat with chili, most of the chili we had deer chili.
yeah.
That's what you use it for. Smoked sausage. Oh my gosh. We would be at school and we'd be passing around a link of smoked sausage and be like, hey man, cut me off a little piece. And we'd be handing smoked sausage or snack sticks or something like that. That was a staple of eating wild game, like from when I was a little kid up until now, obviously.
Man, and I Texas is so fascinating. I'm a Texan, by the way. I am
I believe
official.
it.
I'm official. Like I'm here. I'm here for
Good.
it. Like let's go.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
We welcome all that want to come be Texans.
Yes.
Now, if you want to come and make Texas yours, then that's a little different, different conversation we can have. But if you want to come be a Texan, come on.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Very welcoming. Southern hospitality is phenomenal.
Yeah.
With that being said, Texas gets a bad rap across everywhere else because Texas, they think they're the best at everything. Like the biggest, the baddest, the
Yeah.
coolest, and you shrug your head. You're like, yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah,
that's because it's true.
Yeah. And man, I'll tell you, like, if you ask any of my friends, any of my family members, I am a big Texas history person.
Yes.
Like the town that I grew up in, Goliad, is like a big staple point in Texas history with the
massacre,
revolution
yeah.
and everything, the Goliad massacre and all that kind of stuff. So like I grew up in the shadows of those, uh, places and landmarks and things like that. So it's pretty cool, like growing up and seeing that and actually being around the history, like going to the reenactments, like
Yes.
school trips, all that kind of stuff. So I love Texas. Always tell people like I'm from Texas. It is a very proud thing of mine for sure. I am the quintessential one.
I love it.
Of many.
Well, how this all ties in, and actually I want to touch on the history part real quick, is my kids, I grew up a history buff. Like I love history. So I know all about the Alamo. I know about Goliad.
Yeah.
I know it all. That sounded very arrogant. That's not what I meant. The point is I'm very like educated because I
Yeah.
want to know about it. So when we moved to Texas this summer, I was like, "All right, kids, guess where we're going for our summer vacation?" They're like, "Where,
Smart.
Dad?" "We're going to the Alamo."
Yep.
Yeah, like, it's like got to teach them that Texas history, and we were
Yep.
listening to a lot of Texas history podcasts. And not that the movie is like all that incredible, but I showed my boys the one of Billy Bob Thornton, the
Yeah.
Alamo,
Yep.
and,
Yep.
and they were afterwards like they were playing instead of like my generation grew up playing Cowboys and Indians.
Yeah.
My kids were their neighbor kids were playing Alamo. They're
Yeah.
Texans versus Mexicans.
Mexicans. Yeah. Yep. I've played it as a kid myself.
I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's go, boys. Let's go. So I am back in teaching here in Texas, and my secretary at my school is actually a blood relative to Colonel Travis.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
dude.
You'll find that a lot, and I mean, like it's a part of being from Texas, and I feel like especially kind of back east. I mean, there's a lot of people that obviously were more immigrants, and they came from their grandparents came from different countries and stuff like that. But like, I'm proud to say that I'm a fifth generation Texan.
Yeah.
Like for 5 generations, my family was in Goliad, and you have some people that like are real good, and they're seventh and eighth generation Texan. Like when you can say that your family's been in one place like that and for that long, and they've survived a lot,
Yes.
with what was going on back then, because it wasn't just peaceful little, happy go lucky. We're trying to get through this country that can kill us, these other people that here that can kill us, and families lasted. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's impressive. Well, that's why, I don't know this as a true stat. I just like to throw it out there because it makes more sense. Is the majority of special forces come from Texas.
Really?
Like
That'd be good to believe.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, because there's a lot of gritty people down here.
Yeah.
The sun beats you down, the heat beats you down, the humidity, the snakes, the spiders, the scorpions, the stickers,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't realize that a mesquite tree is pretty much what they wrap the crown of thorns on Jesus's head, right?
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
massive things that want to poke you and cut you and anyway, so there's a lot of gritty people, and that's what I love about Texas. You got to
Yeah.
not a bunch of softies come from here, right?
Not too many. There's a few, but not too many.
On the other hand, like why Texas gets to be so cool is there's always something to hunt down here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I am really come from the West. You get one deer tag. You have
Yeah.
to put in for a special permit to get a second deer tag or an antlerless or whatever. Come down here. I'm like, dude, I got 4 deer tags for my county. Like,
Mhm.
let's go. Then I shot
Yeah.
my first deer and I walked up on it. I was like, oh, now I
Yeah.
see why we need 4 deer tags because that's only going to last me like a couple weeks.
Yeah. In some places in Texas, especially the hill country, the deer are a little bit smaller than what you expect. And I mean, and that's body size. I mean, and horns too. But like, there's certain pockets you can get down in South Texas, and in North Texas too. There's some certain counties that you can get pretty big deer, but it's still nothing like the Midwest or even like Kansas or Nebraska. I went on a turkey hunt in Nebraska a few years ago, and we saw some does, and I was like, golly, like, wow, dang, that's a pretty big doe. Like, that's a lot different than the does we were shooting down in Texas. Like, this one's got some meat to her. But yeah, I definitely see like where most people can tell like the deer are a little bit smaller down here, but it's food source, heat, all that kind of stuff. Of course, you get everything that's colder, gets a little bigger.
So true, right? The bigger
Yeah.
the body, the warmer it stays. Yeah, absolutely. So, hunting in Texas, it's cool. There's always
Yeah.
something. Biggest issue, access. How do you go about getting access to animals hunting in Texas? And that's one of the things I wanted to have conversation with you about is, you coming generationally. It's like, oh yeah, well this has always been our family's property, or
Yeah.
I have buddies that have property or all
Yep.
that. But one of the things that Texas gets a bad rap on is that there's barely any public land. right? I
Yeah.
have some national grasslands to the north of me. I live west of Fort Worth area, and so we have those. You can go up there and hunt turkeys. I think deer. Not exactly sure how successful people are for that, but it took me a while to figure out how to get a deer lease, and that was a real interesting dilemma. I was like, dude,
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to hunt, but I don't have a lot of money. So how do I go about even one first finding it before we even talk about cost? Like that was a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've like I said, been lucky. I've had friends that have either family property or they have a deer lease or it's something like that. I mean, I grew up in probably like the '90s. I would say early 2000s in Texas was probably the golden age of the deer lease. I mean, they were still cheap. They were abundant. They were just easy to find. Like everybody had a deer lease to go to, and it was a place to share camp, have families out, hunt together. I mean, it was so cool to be around those kind of people and be able to be like involved in all that. But then, of course, I mean, I'm not going to say it was hunting television or any. There's a multitude of reasons why it got a whole lot tougher. I mean, one, um, when people find out you're killing big deer, um, it's because don't get me wrong, people love the fellowship and everything else, but here in Texas it's still about killing big deer. And once people find out where big deer are, they're not afraid to say that they'll pay more for the lease
Uh-huh.
than what you're paying, or anything else like that too, or try to get it from underneath you. But it's also ranches broke up. I mean,
Yeah.
people pass away, gets passed down to a family. I mean, I know of a bunch of buddies that have had leases for years, and then the owner passes away. The family doesn't want to do anything with it. They want the cash now, and they're like, "Hey, you got a month to come get all your stuff off because we're selling it." Like it kind of that kind of stuff started happening like 2010, 2011, and kind of kept getting harder after that. But it's like now it's to the point if you want to go hunting, it's like you either got to find a good guide that you could work something out with, or you're hunting with friends and family. I mean, I've from what we've done, I've been lucky enough to hunt like my in-laws. They have a deer lease now. That's the one we're on currently. And they found it and they were just like, hey, we enjoy hunting and fishing and stuff too. We want y'all to be able to do that. We want Hasty to be able to do it. So y'all can get on this lease with us. And we've been on a lease with them before as well. We wound up losing that one and then found this one. But it's like I mean, a lot of the opportunities I've gotten is because I pack around a camera and tend to people like to film this kind of stuff and everything. So, we've traded for hunts, like for content, stuff like that. I mean, just making friends, being a part of organizations. Cause I mean, it's one thing to say that it's hard to find access in Texas, but it just depends on the people that you know. And once you meet that right person, you could probably be given the keys to a pretty substantial piece of property and, have free will to go hunting. Because here in Texas too, if people like you, like, and they see that love that you have for hunting, like that passion that they have as well, they're more than often welcoming you to come hunt with them. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the same thing. I mean, those people that I was on a podcast the other day talking about this, but like the people that buy these properties and own this land and manage it and all this other stuff, like, yes, it's for them, but I would say over a vast majority of people want to share it with other people.
Mm.
Not everybody. Don't get me wrong, not everybody, but they want to share it with other people because they know what it does for them and they know what it also can do for other people.
Right.
I mean, we all work jobs, we all some of us sit in offices or some of us have jobs that we don't like doing, but going out there and hearing the birds chirp in the morning, see the sunrise, like that can really, bring you back to ground, to earth,
Mm-hmm.
and not get so trapped up like in the hustle bustle of life and paying bills and oil changes and traffic and all that other kind of stuff. So those landowners and stuff recognize it. And I mean, I mean, all it takes is one yes. That's all I'll say about that. And all it takes is one yes. You might get a lot of no's, but all it takes is one yes, and you can probably have some nice places. Like I've gotten to hunt on some pretty cool places, not huge, big, but like just good spots. I mean, I haven't killed big deer, but I've killed deer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more about, like I said, just getting out there and meeting people. A lot of the organizations in Texas, I mean, you got Texas Wildlife Association, I mean, Texas Trophy Hunters, Houston Safari Club, Dallas Safari Club, like where we met. I mean, get out there and meet those people. I mean, that's the only way you're going to be able to. You can search, the yellow pages, right? But what are you really doing? Go to the places where hunters are and make friends.
Pause. I need you to repeat that right there. That last line. Go to what? Say it
Go
again.
to where hunters are and make friends.
Bingo. Bingo. For every brand new hunter, doesn't matter if you're from the West Coast, the East Coast, the North, the South, whatever. If you want to get in and start building community, or you want to learn how to hunt, because we're really big on the mentorship as conservation
Yeah.
platform here, like you got to go to where the hunters are, right?
Yeah. I mean, CCA banquets, RMEF banquets, like that, they are literally catering. I mean, you can spend $50, have a nice dinner. Even I've said this on a podcast before, count it as date night for all you guys out there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Take your wife out, get dressed up, go have a few drinks if you do that. If not, drink water, whatever you need to do, and have a good time. Sit at a table with people that you don't know, but they love hunting
Right.
because they're spending money for conservation just like you are
Mm-hmm.
to these organizations. I mean, like I said, there's a whole list of them. But if you're not in those places and giving yourself opportunities to go hunting, to go fishing, I've watched a guy at the Houston Safari Club show. Oh, this is a few years ago. I think I was like 28. I think he was 22. Yeah, he was like 22. And there was an auction going on. There was 7 days, 8 nights in South Africa. You got 6 planes game for 2 hunters. This is the auction item that's up for auction right now. And most of the people sitting in that room have already done their planes game. They're more Big Five and that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
This guy got that trip for $900. He called his brother and was like, dude, do you want to split this trip? Because it was for two hunters. They spent $450 a piece, of course, plus their plane ticket, which
Right.
can be a little expensive. But for $450, he got 7 days, 8 nights, 6 planes game, like Impala, like Gazelle, things like that. And of course, he could have added on if he wanted to, but that's a solid hunting trip in another country for pretty dang cheap. Now, are all the auctions going to be like that? No, but he had to be sitting there that night to get that one.
Yep.
And it worked out.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of newer hunters forget is, and now come this more like a Western big game mentality, not so much Texas, right? Like we're on a 40-acre food plot and a feeder. You're gonna see deer at some point, whether it's a big one or not. Like you're gonna see an animal.
Mm-hmm.
Western big game hunting, you choose rifle season. You got 2 weeks to fill your tag. You're out there in a sea of orange. Animals are getting pushed around. That's hard. Like I've never shot a mule deer, and I hunted mule deer season after season multiple times and never got to see a shooter. Or I got to see him, just not in season, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh. So it's really interesting when you view hunting as an investment into yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you have really bad buck fever, and you shake and you pull shots, or you just do you shoot poorly at animals.
Yeah.
Well, if you only get one opportunity a year at that, right?
It's not
how are you
going to
get
be
better,
good.
right? Dude, you can go to Africa. You can go to Africa and shoot 7 animals and start to work on yourself as a hunter. And that's a lot of things that people don't understand as talking points about hunting, right? You want to be more lethal? and work on your shooting at live things, go do it at the cheapest way possible. And if that so happens to take you to South Africa, then so be it, or find
Yeah.
a way to get
On
on.
hogs. I mean, that's been the biggest thing that I if I actually tried to put pen to paper, and this is not bragging by any means, because I know there's a lot of guys that have killed way more hogs than me, but that was what I cut my teeth on. I
Yeah.
mean, that was the easiest thing to be able to get permission to go hunt. I mean, growing up, it's like we did it with dogs, we did it with rifles, we did, archery equipment, everything, like, because it was just an abundant resource, an abundant target that you could practice on.
Yeah.
And also most of the time some of them taste pretty good, unless you shoot a big nasty boar, which they're out there. I mean, they still taste pretty good, so it's food too. I mean, that was the biggest like target practice that we had here in Texas, and it's a blessing and a huge curse, is as we all know as well, because I mean, with having hogs is the destruction and everything else that comes with it.
Right. And they run deer off. Like, I haven't had that issue with being on a deer hunt and then having hogs run and
Yeah.
push the deer out, but my neighboring lease has had that happen multiple times.
Oh yeah,
And it's
they
like,
will. Deer, hogs, and turkeys will run deer off a feeder all the time.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Dude, okay, so Texas hunting story real quick, and is I thought hunting Texas under a feeder or over a feeder was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, most people do.
It's
Most
not
people do.
at all.
No.
It is,
No.
especially once the acorns start hitting the ground.
Yeah.
Dude, it-
There's you're not gonna find them.
it's
Good luck.
it's crazy. Like, people are
Yeah.
like, "Well, dude, yeah, you got corn just sitting on the ground." I'm like, "Yeah, that corn's been sitting there for a couple weeks, and only 2 deer have shown up over that course of
Uh-huh.
time." Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's food abundant out there. I mean, mesquite beans, the acorns, like you said, like it is full of food, and a lot of people, they also look at Texas and they're like, you're hunting from an elevated blind, you're hunting over a feeder that's 100 yards away down this pristine cut lane that we call a sendero down here. But especially in South Texas, I would invite anyone to come down and just like actually look at the landscape, and like you spoke about earlier, about all the different plants, let alone the animals, all the different plants that have thorns and stickers and burrs, and being able to walk through that. Of course, there's some ranches that have been highly managed, that when I'm managed, I mean by like the brush, the vegetation, and everything, that you can spot and stalk some whitetails, right? You can spot and stalk hogs and all the different animals and exotics. But unless it's actually been maintained that way,
Mhm.
good luck trying to do it on those ranches that just don't have those resources.
Right.
Because it's not, they had enough resource to cut this lane, this circle, put this feeder in the middle, and hopefully draw in the animals, because that's the only way you're gonna be able to do it.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. I've wanted to spot and stalk so bad down here, and I'm like, "Dude, you crunch, crunch, crunch."
Mhm. Yeah.
Like,
Then your closer caught on a thorn bush and you're trying to pull it, and then that's making noise. Like it can be done, but you are upping the level of intensity and making it a whole lot harder.
yeah. Yeah, I just wanna give a shout out to all the Texans that get hate for shooting 6.5 Creedmoor and wounding deer. Because I heard recently from a buddy of mine, who's like, he runs dogs to find deer during deer
Yeah.
season for people.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, man, 6.5 Creedmoor keeps me in business." And I'm like, "Dude, that's so bush league. That is not true." But I think it's funny.
I think it's funny too. I think what keeps most deer trackers in business is the fact that most hunters, most, not all, only bring out that rifle for hunting season.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They're not actually working on their
They're
marksmanship.
they're not actually shooting. Like, I know plenty of people that hunt religiously, but that is the only time they pick up their rifle. It's not picked up in February March, April, May, June, July. It's October 27th because deer rifle season opens November 1st, which it's my birthday, which is pretty cool.
Heck
But
yeah.
that's when they pick up that rifle, and it's either been sitting in the safe or bumping around in the back seat of the truck or something like that. That's the main reason why that keeps dog trackers in business.
Well, so a part of that though, as I want to give some credit to the Texas hunters,
Yeah.
is being a Western big game hunter who typically hunts mountains, because mountains are where the public land is, right? Is you know how much easier it is to track an animal when there's terrain features, right?
Mhm.
Like there's a creek draw. Well, yeah, naturally an animal's going to go to water and it's going to go downhill if it's wounded, or
Yeah.
you can see game trails. Well, down here in Texas, where the land is relatively flat, there might be a little, rolling hill or whatever.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, these deer can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like they'll just
Yeah.
and yeah,
I've seen it. I mean, even myself, my first Axis that I shot a couple years ago, it was a bad shot on me. I should have been better, a better shooter, a better hunter. I
should have
mean,
pulled your
when that
rifle out
happens,
sooner.
yeah, exactly. I was actually borrowing the rifle, so that made it a little bit worse. But I mean, we tracked that Axis for a long time. We had dogs come, and it was like a a a prolonged fatal shot. It was the first animal that I've ever had that happen on.
Hmm.
Like I saw him when the dogs were on him. Like he ran right by us, and you could tell he was hurt, but he wasn't. He wasn't like dying hurt.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it took a little while, but he did wind up passing Charlie, the guy I was hunting with. He found him, and he finished him off. And I actually wound up getting some of the meat and the antlers and course from him. But like that was one of the first hunts where I was like, I didn't really like how that went down, and I could tell where I should have been better and
Hmm.
what I should have done. But I mean, it kind of happens every now and then, as all hunters. But yeah, it's the animals just go, and until they have something that stops them, which is either the shot that you made or the dogs in that case of deer tracking dogs or anything like that, like they're just going to keep going and they're going to try and live because that's their only goal is to try and live another day.
Right. That's what they do. So it's so wild. Okay, so here's something that I want to ask you is once again, Western big game hunting. You see an animal, it's across canyon, you're aiming at vitals, maybe high shoulder, right? Like
Yeah.
you're looking for pump house. Down here in Texas, a lot of people neck shoot their deer.
Mm-hmm.
And that is new to me. But at the same time, after shooting my very first deer and having it cross my boundary line onto someone else's property and then being like, crap, now I
Yeah.
got to call my lease owner. Now I got to have him call the next person. And, and it's like
Yeah.
a game of telephone just to recover my deer that I can see within sight. But it's trespassing if I don't have permission to go recover that.
Yeah.
I started to think, okay, well, I put that in the lungs. I double lunged it. It's dead on its feet. How do I kill these deer and drop them in their tracks so that I don't have to go through that process again? And that's when I started being like, okay, I'm going to start high shouldering every deer, but then I lose
Mm-hmm.
backstrap. And I'm like, I don't want to lose backstrap. And I'm like, okay, well, I've never shot a deer in the neck. So this season I'm thinking, okay, do I want to, shoot him in the neck? And I'm like, do I want to shoot him in the head? Do I want to risk that as something? Has that ever been anything that you've ever thought of, like going into season and where you're going to be making your shot placement?
Um. Yes and no. I mean, I've grown up with people neck shooting deer. I mean, it kind of goes back to the whole walking through the brush thing with all the thorns. Like, if it dies right there in the sendero, we get to go right there in the sendero and pick it up, and we don't get thorns and things like that. So I think that's where a lot of that comes from, and especially that high shoulder shot and dropping them right there because nobody wants to walk through the brush. We don't want to have to track this deer. That's kind of how like we were all taught. It's like shoot him in the shoulder, break him down, to where you take the motor away from him. and they fall right there. And if they do go in the brush, it's only a little bit, and we're not traipsing through everything else trying to do that. So I think that's what has a lot to do with why people down here choose that shot. But yeah, even me, like with archery or rifles or whatever, like a lot of people with rifles, like might not take a frontal shot with a rifle, but I mean, down here, you're looking down a Sendero, a buck's looking at you. You put it right there in the middle, a little bit low. I mean, you're sending it right through his heart and his lungs. It's a very, very lethal shot, and a lot of people do it down here, especially with like rifle. I said archery, of course, that's a little different. I haven't personally done anything like that, and I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's out there. I mean, people have done it with elk, but that's a little bit bigger of a target.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's always. I would say most of the decisions made down here for hunting wise is definitely more tailored towards like the habitat, the land, and like not having to deal with that extra stuff. But like you said, crossing fences and having to get permission and doing all that. I mean, it's of course, like you said, shoot them in the shoulder or high shoulder or in the shoulder. You're losing a little bit of meat, but your track job is a little bit easier as well.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was, it was something that I was like, dang, I need to make sure I drop this deer in its tracks.
Yeah.
And I stuck this one and I was like, heck yeah, like, let's go. It's right there.
Exactly. I mean, there's some ranches here in Texas, like you said, there's looking from it out west where you get one tag and you got 2 weeks to get it done. Some ranches down here in Texas, because we have the MLDP program with Texas Parks and Wildlife, you'll have a Parks and Wildlife biologist come to your property and they do like a survey. You usually do like a helicopter survey as well to see how many deer you have. They'll do a survey of what vegetation you have, food and forbs and everything else, and they'll determine the population of deer that needs to be on that property for it to be managed properly.
Yep.
So a lot of ranches have excess of deer. I mean, even in the city, everything else, but like there's some ranches to get 130 MLD tags and they have to shoot 130 deer. Like and not waste them as well. That can't be done. So a lot of meat gets donated. There's a couple food banks in San Antonio, Houston that take in, wild game meat and stuff and feed a lot of people. So, and there's also programs in Texas for that as well. But if you have to shoot, say you're a ranch manager down here in Texas and the landowner comes to you and said, well, Johnny, today's hunting season's coming up. We got 130 does we got to take out of the herd. How do you think you're going to shoot 130 does? Are you going to try and double lung them and have them all run away? It's like, nope, we're neck shooting and we're head shooting. So they drop right there because we got 130 of these. And it's a part of the program too. If you are told you have 130 deer, that's how many you have to take. No more, no less. And sometimes, if you don't take all 130 that you're supposed to take, there are, consequences according to the program.
That's
you
crazy.
could get kicked off or you could, different things because you're not managing it to the standard that the biologist set for you. Mm-hmm. So like I said, it's a lot of what has to be done because of the environment of why people choose to hunt the way they do here in Texas.
I love that. It's a great answer because people are so quick to make snap judgment calls without actually knowing things. On this podcast, I always talk about how everyone has an opinion. Very few people have perspectives, and perspectives come through experiences, right?
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, that I'm not all knowing by any means, but it's something I'm very passionate about. So I actively try to stay on top of kind of knowing some different things, not everything, but just having a well-formed idea of how things are working.
Yeah. I love that. Have you ever gone on a Western big game hunt?
Yeah. Yeah. I drew a tag in Idaho. My buddy and Jared and I did a few years ago, archery mule deer in southeastern Idaho. So we, he had a client up there that has a ranch and a pretty big operation, and he was like, hey man, this is public land up here. I mean, it's pretty good draw, it's pretty easy to get, some pretty nice deer. He showed us some stuff that he's seen shot out there and everything else. So we were like, we'll try and put in for this tag. Well, my buddy Jared had put in for it the year before, and he went up. He didn't get one. But then like the next year, we both put in for it together because, like you said, it was pretty easy. So we both wound up drawing that tag, and we drove from College Station, Texas, all the way up there. And I mean, it was a good hunt. It was snowing, way more snow and cold than I've ever witnessed in my life. One morning we woke up and it was -19, and I kind of didn't know really what to do with myself. Of course, we had packed, and I mean, of course, as soon as we found out we drew the tag, I was every podcast, every video about mule deer in Idaho or mule deer out west, I was looking at trying to figure it out and everything. And I mean, I had a blast. I want to go back. I just haven't drawn a tag to go back anywhere yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm building up points in Wyoming, and then I've got trying to look at some other hunts out west and stuff like that. But it's high on the list. I did that, and then a couple years before that, I went on a turkey hunt. So I don't know, in Nebraska and Kansas. So that's not really big game, but that's my extent of going out west. I mean, it's always something you dream about, especially like in Texas. I grew up watching hunting outdoor TV shows. So Primos, elk bugling and big mule deer and all that kind of stuff has always been on the radar. And I wish I would have known, I guess, earlier just how to get in the game of it. But it always seemed like, especially in Texas, like it was a whole lot harder to figure out because we were always told like, well, every state's different and none of the rules are the same. And it was like, well, if you leave and go hunt Texas, of course you hunt somewhere else, you got to drive, and it's 14 hours to get out of Texas before you even get to any other state.
Right.
So it's like there's all these mounting things against it. And I kind of wish I'd have like had somebody a little bit earlier. Like I'm pretty sure I had a good, if me and a couple of buddies that, were in college and stuff, like if we'd have known what we know now, I feel like we could have made some pretty cool trips out west, especially to Colorado to go hunt that stuff. But it was just like the information wasn't just there yet. The go hunts, the hunting fools and everything else wasn't there just yet to kind of take advantage of it. But I mean, we still knew about some people that still went out west and mule deer hunting and elk and everything else. But it was just like, well, how did you get those tags? Right. How did you apply? How do you do this? And then it was like, well, they're not just going to sit down and tell you exactly how they did it, So it's one of those deals. But yeah, I mean, Western big game. I love mule deer. I think it's from like the whitetail deal. I like mule deer more than elk. Some people might not like that, but it is what it is. But I'm a big mule deer fan, so I really want to go out west and chase mule deer. I want to shoot elk. I applied this past year in New Mexico for a pronghorn hunt, but didn't draw a tag. I'll try and put in again next year, but we'll see how it goes.
There you go. What's your perspective of Western hunting? Coming from Texas and growing up Texas hunting, like each of them have a place, right? There's a place for it in hunting for everyone.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking bird hunting or upland, that type of stuff, but just big game hunting. Like, do you feel like Western big game hunting is the apex of hunting?
I think it's more of a test against yourself. I would say, as opposed to like kind of the Texas hunting is more family tradition, like the culture, like you said, like big hunting camps, good food, laughs, all that kind of stuff, and which is great. But I think when you kind of decide you're going to go Western big game hunt, of course you can probably have all that stuff too. But I feel like for me, Western big game hunting is like, hey, I'm going to test myself. Either myself or like me and a couple buddies are finna go out here and we're finna probably eat shit for a little bit and grind it out and try to test ourselves to do these things and to either kill an elk or kill a mule deer or black bear or whatever it is. I feel like it's that's kind of the mindset you have to be successful Western big game hunting.
Yeah.
Like, I could be wrong. And
No.
I'm sure there are people that would say, you know, oh, we have big camps too with family and everything. I'm sure, but my perception of it is like, hey, we're going into battle.
Yeah.
we're going to go to work.
And that's where a lot of the whole, train to hunt and be mountain tough and all
Yeah.
this like fitness levels really like, hey man, I always told people I used to snowboard all the time. And I got to a point where I was like, hey, if you can't keep up, I'm not waiting for you.
Yeah.
And not to be mean, but like, dude, I'm just gonna ride. You're welcome to ride with me, but like, I just want to cruise. When it comes to hunting, it's like, dude, if you better make sure you pick your hunting partners very specifically, especially
Yeah.
when you're doing Western big game hunting, because if your partner fitness wise can't keep up, or he's not, or if they're not mentally tough, and they don't know how to get through difficult moments or overcome
Yeah.
obstacles and all that, or they can't shoot, right? Like you spent all this time, money, and resources to go thousands of miles to go hunt for 1 week,
Yeah.
and you got that one moment, and guy can't shoot, can't make that shot, and you can't close the distance because it's across a canyon or whatever it is. There's a lot to be said, and I feel like that is exactly what you just said. Is it's a test against yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it is because I mean, like you said, we went up to Idaho, and I knew that we were going to have some elevation and things like that. And like I grew up in Goliad. I mean, we're at sea level, dang near below sea level. So being able to breathe up there, doing all that kind of stuff. I was on the Stairmaster and everything else. And I mean, for the most part, when I was younger, obviously, I was a pretty good athlete, played sports all through school and everything else. So I knew what like working out entails to be in good condition,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do stuff. But even then, like it's not there's still a transition between you can train and do the Stairmaster and get on the treadmill and put on heavy packs and everything else down here, but there is still a difference when you go from sea level to up on a mountain at 5,000 feet to if you want to go up to 8,500 feet, which I think was the highest that we could go up.
Yeah.
But where we were at, but it's like it's different. It is just different, and your body has to acclimate to that. Even if you are the most in shape and work out and have the best endurance, when you're trying to breathe and you're not catching oxygen because it's less up there,
Uh-huh.
you'll feel it for a little while. It'll go away, but you still need a little time to get used to it.
I love it. If you could hunt one style the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh man,
And
that's
and
a
and I mean Texas style hunting and Western style hunting, not necessarily like what equipment you'd use or whatever.
yeah. I'd say Texas because I could hunt all kinds of different places in Texas. Like you can hunt South Texas in the brush country, you can hunt East Texas in the piney woods, you can Southeast Texas in the marshes and the bayous and swamps and hill country, and far West Texas you got mountains. So I'm lucky where I can say Texas because it kind of covers a little bit of everything.
I love it. I know I'm still trying to figure out how I get access to mule deer in Texas. They're here,
They are here. They
but
are here.
apparently you got to know some people to
You definitely got to know some people to hunt mule deer in Texas. And um, another secret, and I don't know if I should tell people about this, but we got some pretty big elk in Texas too. And I'm not talking about, don't throw no fits. I'm not talking about high fence elk. I'm talking about wild, free range, never seen people elk. I saw one the other day that killed a 431 in West Texas.
and
So
they're considered an exotic, which means you can hunt them year round.
that is true. In Texas, they are considered an exotic, and you can hunt them year round. Because you can have a lot of guys now. It's kind of the new thing is to come to Texas and shoot them in velvet
Mm.
because you're allowed to. So I've seen a couple of those pop up this year. A lot of people coming down here to hunt those, and once again, you got to know some people, or have a little change to be able to get those free range elk. But they're there.
Hey, I got some great media that I can provide for you. Like,
Yeah. We can trade on some stuff for a couple different trips, and we can put it together. But yeah, that's a good. No, those two, I could probably shoot a raghorn West Texas bull over a 4 something from Nevada and be happy.
yeah.
Just because it's a West Texas bull. Because, like I said, not that many people know about it. And I mean, like you said, there's a lot of different animals in Texas. My wife and I were driving back from our lease this past weekend, and we were looking over in this field, and she goes, "Oh, there's a black buck." And I was like, "Oh yeah." There's a black buck male and some does. And I like saw the fence, right? It was a low fence. And I was waiting for her to like realize that was a low fence that we were passing. And she was like, "That was a black buck behind the low fence." And I said, "Yeah, it was. They're out there." In the place that we have leased, it's low fence too, but we've gotten all that on camera. Some red deer, like red stag, and axis as well.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
it's from the hill country all over Texas. You don't have to, if you're that against high fences, you don't have to hunt high fence to hunt exotics in Texas.
Right. You just got to go to the right areas in which
The right areas, and they're there. I mean, and of course, a lot of those animals probably came from high fences. Unfortunately, like this past summer we have a lot of flooding, and that damages fences and everything else, and animals get out that and they populate.
Well, just here in the local town that I live in, someone made a post on the community Facebook page, and it was like, "Hey, there's some elk that got out. Our gate malfunctioned, and this nice 5x5 bull elk and a couple cows got out. And like, I know that it was somebody's, but if it
Yeah,
steps on property that is 100% legal to shoot or hunt on,
yes, sir.
that is a fair game animal.
Fair game animal. That's the way it is. I mean, there's a lot of different rules and regulations when it comes to exotics. I mean, it's a big industry in Texas. I don't know if you saw, but the license sales this year for Texas hunting license gross $40 million.
Did it really? No, I didn't see that.
$40 million
Just in
and
license.
just in licenses this year. Like, this hunting is, I feel like in the West and stuff, like it's an industry, because you have a lot of the bigger companies. Like, you go to Bozeman and different Salt Lake City, they have all the different mountain ops out there, then Sitka and everything else in Bozeman. But like, it's a huge hunting, not just like you said the outdoor stuff, but hunting is big money in Texas. Like, that's just licenses.
Yeah.
What do you think people are spending at for camo and ice chest and corn and protein and feeders and blinds? Like, it's
crazy.
It's a lot of money that moves through Texas.
I work with Cryptech Camo, and they say their number one location that they sell the most of their camo to is Texas. And I'd be really interested. I've never asked about this, because you bring up a fascinating point. How much of the Pittman Robertson money, if we broke it down state by state, comes from Texas? Yeah.
Probably quite a bit.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
I mean,
because there's gun stores everywhere. There's hunting shops everywhere. Fishing stores, like everything. And I mean, there's a lot of money. Like, if you can get on, let's see, major highways, you can do like 183, 281, 59. Basically, the highways that are heading from Houston, San Antonio, Dallas to South Texas. If you could just pick a spot and say you're gonna chill and drink lemonade, and count how many 25 Chevy 2500s and F250s and everything else that are pulling Can-Ams and pallets of corn,
Yeah.
pallets of corn, not just a couple bags, but pallets of corn. Not to mention the 18 wheelers that are going out to ranches to fill protein bunk feeders and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's once you sit down and start thinking about it and looking at it, it's like, holy cow, because Can-Am's 20, 30,000 now for a brand new one, if you're lucky.
Yep.
And they're just flying down the road
Yeah.
all from Thursday afternoon to Sunday. They're going and coming.
Dude, I'm always like, how do I get into that game, right? Like these people must
Yeah.
have some oil money or some
Oh,
ranching money.
yeah. I mean, that's a lot of it. Cause you think too, like a lot of these oil companies, I mean, they're the biggest leaseholders. Like there's ranches in South Texas where they are spending $250,000 on a lease a year,
Mm-hmm.
and you're leasing 10,000 acres, and you're shooting 160s guaranteed. That's a 160-inch buck, like a 148-inch buck. That's not even as a cull buck. Like that's legit.
Yeah.
Like we don't shoot anything under 180.
Yeah.
Like I get, it's funny because it's like a lot of people talk about the high fence deal, and to me, it's I've hunted behind a high fence for myself. I've hunted with other people behind a high fence. Of course, you have those operations that are little put and shoots and stuff, and that's not my deal. If you want to do that, that's you. I'm not going to judge you for it. You still bought a hunting license. You still bought ammo. It's still going to where it needs to go to. I'm just not going to choose to do that. But I've been to a place that's 800 acres. It's under a high fence. And they said that there is a massive population of axes in this high fence, guaranteed. We hunted for 4.5 days and we did not see one axis.
Yeah. I was going to say, I went into my very first high fence experience this last spring. I had a buddy come down from North Dakota and took him on his very first hog hunt. And a part of that was my other buddy got access to, I don't know, some type of ram. And was like, "Hey, Jeff, you want to shoot a ram?" He's like, "You're never going to get a chance to, well, very small chances that you'll ever get a chance to shoot one of these types of things in the wild or getting drawn or all this stuff.
Yeah.
So you want to shoot it?" And he's like, "Oh, heck yeah! What's the cost?" And told him the cost of the animal. And so we went and did it, and I filmed it, and got to experience it. That was a 400-acre high fence.
Yeah.
To me, it felt too small, and I think if I was going to hunt a high fence, I'd need at least 1,000 acres.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with that being said, we saw aoudad, we saw axis, we saw whitetail, we saw these animals. We never saw hogs, and there's supposed to be tons of them in this high fence. I was like, wow, man. We're ripping around on the side-by-side, just, trying to find this one ram, let alone here we are, like
looking for hogs too.
Looking for hogs and never even saw them. So I found that it just backs up what you said. Is like, just because it's within a high fence does not mean you still have to hunt the animals.
Yeah, and I mean
larger high fences.
Asterisks. And I mean there's a lot of high fences too that are 10,000 acres. And if you're gonna tell me that that's hunting 10,000 acres just because it's got a big fence around it isn't hunting, come try it.
Yep.
Like, are you going to be able to shoot a deer? Sure. But if you're hunting like a specific mature buck or bull, whatever it is, it's going to be hard to do.
Yeah. I totally get that. I'm actually going to show you my deer that I shot this year. So I went out during archery season last year, and I shot my very first archery buck. And Brandon, you can see it actually is mounted on the wall back behind me. I got this beautiful 8-point. And that was my very first archery buck. Loved it. It was awesome. Well, this year I was like, okay, I don't really see any deer that I want to shoot during archery season too much. I'd rather hold out till rifle in the rut and see what happens. That was also
Yep,
another
yep.
thing, being brand new to hunting the rut. Because out west, to get a rut tag is a special permit draw typically.
Oh, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, so not knowing what that was like. Well, I had a buck show up that I saw him on camera. I was like, dude, he's really cool, but a little younger. And so I ended up shooting him on second day of season. He showed up. He was a non-typical. So just gar-
That is so cool, dude.
garbage for days. You can see like he's got like multiple
Yeah,
like
stuff coming off the bottom there and everything.
yeah. So just an awesome buck. He actually had full on velvet dripping off of his antlers.
Dude,
And
that's so cool.
I loved it. And it's so awesome. And I look at him and I'm like, dude, that is a great buck. And then I look at these other Texas bucks that are like massive. And I'm like, dude, if I would have let this guy go another year,
The famous words. The famous words.
I was like, holy smokes, he would have been absolutely phenomenal. You
Yeah.
know, he's starting to get drop tines
Yep.
and all sorts of garbage. The issue is I hunt a 160-acre parcel.
Yep.
It's not very big, especially when we're talking about a 800-acre small or high fence is too small, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
hunting 160 acres. Here I see a deer that I'm like, this is worthy enough for me to draw my bow back and shoot it during archery season and not hunt the rut, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I guarantee someone else is going to shoot him if they see him this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I shot him. I didn't shoot him because of other people. I shot him because I wanted to shoot him.
You wanted to, yeah.
But this was the first time in my hunting journey, in Texas hunting journey also, where it was like, okay, I am not shooting small deer anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like, not small, young.
Young. Yeah.
And there's a difference between small and young because
Yep.
this deer is not small, like it's
No.
super cool, but he's young and he would have been gnarly.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's like you said, there's ranches and stuff and programs where they're like, we don't shoot anything under 7 years old. Like they want to let them. Like a lot of people, I'm not a deer biologist or anything, but the way that I've seen people grow big deer, is you feed them and you let them get old. Like that is how you grow big deer. Like you can't shoot 180s if you shoot every 150 that comes by. Now, like I always say that hunting is a progression. Like you start out, just wanting to kill something, and then you kind of want to kill everything, and then you want to find that one animal that you want to hunt and try to outwit, and that's kind of how it goes, and that's kind of how it's taught in Texas. Like when you're a kid, you grow up, you want to shoot everything. It's like, okay, well, you're on doe patrol. You can shoot a bunch of does. That's how you learn how to shoot. And then, you get your first buck and you like, okay, like I like that. And then it's like, I want to hunt one buck and find him in June or July on camera and watch him. And then I want to shoot him in September and November, over Thanksgiving weekend or like something like that. Like that's kind of how that progression goes.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you said, you graduate from like, okay, I want to watch him and make sure that he's older.
Yeah.
Before I take him, or just like that. But like you said, on 160 acres and that buck walks out, like that's no question. Like we're taking him. He's coming home.
Well, that and like how often do you see a non-typical, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a cool buck. Like that's what would have got me excited. Like just seeing all that. Like it wouldn't even I wouldn't even have second guessed it. I mean, of course, I'd have looked at him and been like, same thing you said. Maybe he's a little younger, but like,
yeah,
he's just a little more tender.
So that was my experience, and now from here on out, because I've been on my lease for 3 years. Year one, I got my lease at the end of August. So like right before season, didn't have any
Yeah.
game cameras. I'm doing whatever I can just to,
That's kind of how we were this year when we got on this place.
yeah, just kind of figuring it out. Like, where do the deer come from? Where's the best place to set up? Anyways, so I had a buck well over 150 on camera the first 2 years, and he would daylight for like the first 2 weeks of season, and then he'd be gone.
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 Yeah.
I would not see him on camera at all until July. So I was in the summer ground, right?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to hunt this buck, but he always gave me the slip. So seeing how amazing like a massive deer is compared to, these deer that I have shot so far, which are great.
Yeah.
Great stories, great meat. Like, it was awesome. Now I'm like, okay, I see why on the lease it says we prefer you to shoot deer that are no younger than 4 to 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Because if everyone agrees to that management style, it does allow these deer to get older, bigger, and,
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of places too where you have landowners that are like that. You'll have 4 or 5 landowners that have, conjoining land, and they're like, hey guys, we all hunt, we all got big pieces, we all have deer. But let's kind of agree on some things, because my deer, quote, my deer come to your side and your
Mhm.
deer come to my side, and whoever shoots them, but let's agree that we're gonna let these deer grow.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of you hear about like the Golden Triangle in South Texas, and in Freer, and some of these counties that are known, like Shackelford County in North Texas, in Webb County down in South Texas, where you consistently have multiple property owners that are having these large deer killed. Like, I don't know if you ever seen it, but there's a page on Instagram called the Texas Buck Registry.
No, I haven't. I'll check that out.
You have to check it out. It's called the Texas Buck Registry, and it was started by this guy named Tom Paul Glazer. And basically, it was him trying to say, "Hey guys, like, we have something special down here in Texas, and if we can agree as low fence owners, and because that's the majority of it. There's a lot of high fence, but low fence, it's if we can agree on some things on aging deer
Mhm.
and different things, and how to manage for good deer population, and for antler growth. There's some things that you can set in different regions of Texas that are beneficial to everybody. But that page is like, if you shoot a buck in Texas, you can submit it, and basically it's a big data pool of where all these big bucks are being shot, in which counties. And see, that's something that would never happen in Western hunting, because nobody wants to share where they're hunting.
Right.
But with private land, you got to have permission. It's private. So you can say what county you shot this deer in.
Right.
And you can see on their page and stuff, they post all of them. But like, some of these hot counties where all these big deer are being killed, like Shackelford County in North Texas is ridiculous. Like 160s to 220s, like, and it's all over the county. It's not just coming off one piece of property, and they've kind of all gotten together and been like, hey, we have something cool here, let's try to keep it.
Yeah, I love that. Man, well, my buddy, he always said, when I got into hunting, actually the guy who I took on his first Texas hunt, he
Yeah.
goes, "You're never gonna shoot a big deer if you always shoot a small deer."
Yeah,
And
it's true.
I mean, that's so obviously like, yeah, duh, Captain Obvious.
Yeah.
But it's really true when you're sitting in the blind and a deer walks out that's legal, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah, I'll never knock anybody for, if you see a deer and it walks out and it gets you excited,
Yep.
that's the goal. Like, if it gets you excited, go for it. But if you're really trying to manage, like, it's a progression, like I said, if you're really trying to manage your property for big deer, if you're really trying to shoot big deer and grow them and do those things, then you're going to have to just leave that safety on a few times when you really don't want to. And but it's like it all depends on what you have and everything. And like I said, if you're hunting smaller ground and you're on a lease that you might not have next year, I'm not going to look down my nose at you for shooting the 150 that could have maybe gone for another year or two. Like,
Right.
not at all.
Right. Yeah. So true. Last question before we wrap this bad boy up. What do you think about the whole concept of hunting, social media, and digital media, quote unquote, ruining hunting?
Oh, um, I for one am very for social media and hunting. It's gotten me a lot of opportunities. It's gotten me to meet some pretty great people
Mm-hmm.
and make some cool friends. So I can't say anything bad about it. Social media in general, like I said, I have a marketing background, so I've always been a fan of social media.
Yeah.
To me, it's a tool like anything else. If you allow it to consume your life, which I'm sure at some point we all do. And it might take a little bit more time than it should out of your life, but for the most part, it's been a real a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have bad apples? But because of social media, their stuff is amplified, and you see it a little more. Sure. As hunters, I think we should take the responsibility of don't want to say this word, but not censoring ourselves, but being aware of the impact the things that we post can have.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Like put the tongue
I,
in the mouth.
yeah. Like there's some things that I've done that I do that are completely legal to do, but I will never post a video of me doing it on social media to get clout. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like I said, there's not bad, they're legal, but it's some things don't need to be posted. It's or like I always get people that, of course, Texas with the hogs and stuff, you know, they use machine guns and like different like ARs and different things like that. Now, some people paint that as we're hunting. Well, you're hunting, but you're eradicating a pest. That's different, a different lens than what we're gonna do for a whitetail. And not to say that they shouldn't post that stuff, but some people go as far as like, I'm a great hunter, but I'm eradicating hogs. I'm like, yeah, you're doing that, but you're not really hunting. You're doing a job, and essentially it's pest control,
Mm.
right? For farmers and stuff, which is needed. But it's just like sometimes we can clean some stuff up. Like I said, I'm not going to tell people to censor what they're doing, but just be aware of what you're posting and the impact that it can have, because it can be used by people that don't have the same lens we have,
Mm-hmm.
that want to ruin what we have. And if they can flip the script on something like that to a person that isn't aware, that isn't educated, that middle ground person that, isn't anti hunting, but they don't have they're ignorant, right? The right use of that term, just not knowing or having the knowledge of some of the practices in hunting, it can be shown in a bad light.
Mm.
Like, I love hunting with dogs. It's my favorite thing. Like, you can give me a pack of dogs and we can go do anything. But a lot of people look down on bear hunters. A lot of people look down on lion hunters and hog hunters too. But like, it's more about the bond with that dog than it is really chasing that animal. But a lot of people don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just see, like, there's a term in hunting, dump the box, like let all the dogs go, right? Well, as a hunter, we know that, like, hey, it's a good race, we're getting all the dogs in, like that's how that's supposed to be. But some people could be like, oh my gosh, they're just turning all these dogs out to just chase the animal, when that's not really what's going on.
Yeah.
I think we've turned a page, kind of, though, and a lot of people are advocating and doing the right thing. Of course, we had some people that in the past, when it was first jumping off, just doing it for clicks and likes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of cleaning up itself, and people are holding other people accountable on what they're doing and posting.
I love it. I love it. You're a good dude, Brandon. I'm really glad that you got to come on the show, brother, and
No,
share
I
your
appreciate
story.
it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was fun, dude. I like it.
We're going to have to collaborate on something here, and we'll wrap this up. We'll talk about it off air. But,
Yeah.
brother, do you have a website that people can go check out, or is everything just social media driven?
Everything's social media right now. We got some stuff in the works that we're trying to get done. But it's just like a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're in the hunting industry or you do this stuff. And it's day job. Like I said, I work at Silencer Shop. I'm a marketing coordinator there. So if you're looking for suppressors, check out Silencer Shop.
Holler.
Yeah. And then also running the media company, all that kind of stuff. So you can look at Bar MC Media. You can check out our YouTube channel, Tejas Hunt Club. Follow us on Instagram. We have a Facebook group too. If you type in Tejas Hunt Club, most of the time it's going to come up. So that's a good thing there. But yeah, just follow the YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and hopefully if we can get these plans laid out like we want to, we'll have some pretty cool stuff and be able to help a lot more people get hunting and all that kind of stuff. So
there you go. I love it. I love it. Well, brother, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing your insight, knowledge, all that. I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
You're a stud.
Anytime.
Be blessed. Have a wonderful hunting season, and I look forward to connecting with you on this later. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. Thank you so much, Brandon, for sharing all your insight. Go check out the Tejas Hunt Club podcast. Go follow along. Reach out to Brandon. He's a wealth of knowledge and also just an awesome human being. So always willing to share some time and lend an ear. So go check him out. Give him a follow. Give him a like. Subscribe. All that. If you like this podcast, if you like what we got going on here at Soul Seekers, leave a rating, review. 5-star, preferably. Go do it. Check out season 5 of Soul Seekers on Carbon TV right now. We got 5 episodes out, and we are in the mix of filming and editing season 6. We'll be launching in January. A lot of cool things going on right there. Be blessed. Freedom on. Remember, hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure, and that you can never outgive good. As mentorship, as conservation. For Johnny Mack and Brandon McDow, be blessed, y'all. Freedom on. Stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast and want to support the show, you can always like, share, subscribe, and leave a rating as it helps us share our mission of mentorship as conservation. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of Soul Seekers Nation as we transform lives through primal adventure.